I would like to encourage you to think about channeling Steve Jobs when you are motivating your employees. And I get that if you know anything about Steve Jobs, this maybe would not be the person that you would automatically think of as somebody to motivate your employees. But I last week was thinking about a number of different things, but Steve Jobs came to mind because he always wore the same thing, right? He always wore a black turtleneck sweater, or at least a black shirt. He always wore jeans, he always wore sneakers. And the whole point of him doing this was so that he didn't have to think about what he was wearing and he could focus his decision-making ability on a whole lot of other things and his creativity on a whole lot of other things with Apple rather than just worrying about what he was wearing. And so I started thinking about, well, how can I take out unknowns in my day to day, in my operations, so that I can use my brain power to make decisions on other things rather than uh, sometimes what feels like a lot of this minutia. And then follow me here. I promise there's a connection. But I would encourage you, if you're having a hard time motivating your employees, to think about ways that you can take this idea of wearing the same clothes every single day, like Steve did, and put that into your workplace. And one of the immediate places that comes to mind is meetings and just setting expectations. It is very difficult to not know. I think that is probably one of the biggest lessons we have learned in the last year and a half is that it is very difficult when you don't know what to expect next week, next month, when you can't plan, when you really don't know what life is going to look like. And so for your employees, if you're not being clear about your expectations and what you need from them and want from them regularly, it can feel even more compounded because they are trying to make decisions for themselves and their families outside of work. There's a bunch of unknowns, and then even within work, there's a whole lot of things that they don't necessarily know what the expectations are, or that they're trying to make you happy as their leader, but don't know how to make you happy, and so then they're sort of like maybe feel like they're not winning on any front, and that totally stinks. So the one I'm also really big on saying we've got a problem, but what's one thing that we can concrete, tangible thing that we can do in order to fix it or to work towards making it better. And so I think the biggest thing that you can do for people is to set expectations. So think about, where are the places that people in your workplace are disappointing you regularly? Is it that things don't get done the way that you want them to as people leave work? If you're still working in a physical space, is it that you are expecting certain pieces of your monthly reports or projects or something like that, and they're not getting to you on time? Um, think about is it because people are showing up to meetings and no one's participating and everybody's zoomed out and just like doesn't want to participate anymore? It could be any of those things, it could be none of those things, but think about where people disappointing you, and then think about, okay, well, what can I do to make my expectations clearer? And so really that's a lot of you thinking about, well, what do I actually want here? I was meeting with a client once and he was talking about how frustrated he was, because when he shows up to the restaurant, like things aren't done the way that they're supposed to be, and he just kind of like lost his shit one day because he was so frustrated. And I said, like, did you tell people what you expected? And he was like, oh, no, I haven't told them exactly what I expect. And especially in the sort of like world environment that we're in, you might have to be even more specific than you would be in the past. Um, so with the example of the restaurant, going through and saying very specifically, these are the tasks, this is the order that things have to be done in. And if you can, write it down so that people have some sort of a way to reference it when you're not there, or that's the first place that they can look if they forget. Then that maybe takes away one person asking you something that is sort of frustrating and annoying because it's like, why don't they know this already? It's okay, just write it down. that's going to take some time, but think you're investing time in the process so that you have more free time on the back end, or that you have more energy to be doing other things other than like repeating yourself over and over again. Maybe you've got people who are um, like not submitting stuff for your monthly reporting on time or in the way that you want it to be done. And so again, you might have to think back, have I set expectations? Has my team changed since we set these expectations a year ago and we've had a few new people, and so the new people maybe don't know why we do this report or what needs to be in it. And because I haven't seen them in the office because we've been working remotely, some of those details are getting lost in the shuffle. A lot of that is probably happening right now. So it's okay. It's nobody's real fault. It's just like shit happens and you have to figure out how to work through it. So in this sort of a situation, again, you'd want to sit back and think like, okay, what kinds of pieces of information do I need? When do I need the information by? How do I need the information? What file type does it need to be? Like, how do you want things organized? And again, it's probably detailed level of minutia, but the more that you can really explain to people exactly what you want and you want it to look like, maybe even send people an example of an old report or the old pieces so that they have an example of how you want it done. Or maybe you make them a cheat sheet where you have an old example, and in um, Word or something like that, you mark up the document and sort of put arrows in to say, like, these are the specific things that need to be here. Or maybe you share your screen during a meeting and then you record that meeting as you're walking through those documents with people so that they have that resource to go back to and watch it again if they need it. But just do what you can to make it easy for people to get you what you want, and very specifically what you want. And um, then you will get the things that you need in the way that you need it, and it'll just end up feeling like a black sweater because you don't have to worry about it. It will just be there, and then you can spend all your time and energy and your creativity on doing other things and doing other problem solving and growing your business and growing your team, instead of repeating yourself on the hamster wheel with this sort of like minutia, because it's no fun for you. It's no fun for the people that you have to keep reminding. So there's my connection. If this was helpful for you, click on the link below and you can join our email list. We seriously have a 3-minute leader boost, and it's only 3 pieces. You don't have time in your day for like extra stuff, and I totally get that, but you do have real problems and you do need real solutions to fix them. And so that's what the leader boost is about, is to get you that kind of information so that you have the tools that you need to solve your problems so you can keep taking names and kicking ass. All right, take a deep breath. Remember that you're awesome, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.